Hello, I'm just going to give it a second or two for a few more people to jump into the live stream and then I will be going on. So, 3 people in, hell yeah, that's a lot. Let's go, yes, come on. Hell yeah, go on lads. Right, cool. We'll maybe see just about 20 or so more seconds and then we'll get right into it. Okay, so going into completing the square. Let's have a look. So, completing the square, it says on the YouTube description that it is grade 7, but in reality it's actually between grades 8 and 9. It's a little bit higher up than that. And if you haven't already, make sure you check out reviseit.co.uk or revise-it.co.uk. That is our website. And let's get into this. Ah, yes, thank you Hashim, you're so ready to learn, and Ollie. Cool, so why do we complete the square? So the one problem I have with GCSE or kind of maths teachers sometimes is that a lot of them don't really explain why you're doing something. Like, what's the point of doing it? What's the point of completing the square? And so when you complete the square, what you're able to do with that information is you're able to use it to find what the turning point of a graph is. So as you can see on this graph to the right, this is a graph of x squared minus 6x plus 1, or y is equal to that, sorry. And so what we're doing there is after completing the square, you're able to basically extrapolate that. You're able to get that information. So let's see how we can do that. So if I have, sorry, that's a rubber. I've got x squared minus 6x plus 1, and I want to complete the square. So I wanted to write in the form x plus a all squared plus b. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to half the coefficient of x, so this number here, and I'm going to place it inside a bracket with the x term. So I'm going to have something that looks like this. X take away 3, brackets around this, and it's going to be squared. So this is the first part. So what I've done is I've halved the coefficient of the x term. So then I have x squared minus 6x plus 1. Then I write this as x minus 3 all squared. And so I'm going to have some terms on the outside. We still have this plus 1, and we also have take away 9. So we're taking away 9 because what's happening with this thing here, with this little bracket, is when you actually expand this out, we get x squared minus 6x plus 9, because minus 3 times minus 3 is there. And then, of course, we have the kind of plus 1 that was already outside. But that's not in the form that we want it to be, because that's not x squared minus 6x plus 1. That's why we have to take away this 9. So when we have whatever number is inside this bracket, whatever the half of the coefficient is, we're going to square that and we're going to take it away on the outside. And so then this ends up being x minus 3 all squared, take away 8. And then what we can get from there is that the turning point of this graph is going to be negative whatever's inside this bracket. So see, we have here it's minus 3, so it's minus 3, which is just 3. That's our x coordinate. And then on the outside, whatever the value on the outside is, that's the y coordinate of the turning point. And so we end up with 3 comma minus 8, as we can see right here. That is the turning point of that graph. So that is why we do it. So if I can find the questions, I'll give you about 20 or so seconds and let you have a go at doing this one, and I'll get back to you. Wow, thanks. You're really excited, Hashim. I love to see it. Okay, so I think that should have been enough time. So for this question, so we have x squared plus 8x plus 5. So what we're going to do is we're going to half this coefficient of the x term and place it inside a bracket. So we have x plus 4 all squared. And then we're going to take away whatever this is squared. So take away 4 squared, which is take away 16. And then also we're keeping this add 5 that was already on the outside. And then so from that, we have minus 16 plus 5. So then this becomes x plus 4 all squared minus 11. And so that's in the form we want it. And then so for good measure, a is equal to 4, b is equal to minus 11. Now, just for kind of even, yeah, just for good measure as well, the actual turning point of this graph then is going to be minus 4 comma minus 11. Remember, it's minus whatever is inside this bracket, and then also whatever outside here is the y coordinate, and this minus this is the x coordinate. So it becomes minus 4 comma minus 11. There we go. Cool. So now you've seen that, had a bit of an explanation to practice. I want you to give this one a go. X squared minus 2x minus 1. Put that into the form x plus a squared plus b. And then also, if you can, say what the turning points are. Okay, I'd say that's probably enough time. Don't worry if you haven't got it yet. I'll be going through it. So we have x squared minus 2x minus 1. And we want to write that in the form x plus a squared plus b. So remember, when you're completing the square, all you're doing is writing what you already have in a different form. You're not changing it in any way. Well, you are changing it. You're changing how it looks, but the base of it's still there. When we expand out what we get at the end, we have what we have originally, right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to, again, half this number, so the coefficient of the x term, and place that inside of a bracket with an x, and we're going to square it all. What we're then going to do is we're going to then take away 1, because that is the square of minus 1. Because think about minus 1 squared is 1, so we need to take away 1 from this bracket. And then it's also take away 1 from the outside. So then we get left with x minus 1 squared minus 2. And so then in this question, a is going to be minus 1 and b is going to be minus 2. And then just for good measure, the turning point is going to be 1 comma minus 2, because we have a minus 1 inside here. Minus minus 1 is just 1, so then we get 1 comma minus 2. Oh yeah, almost there. Beautifully dead. It's a should have been minus 1, as we can see, and b should have been minus 2. Cool. On to the next question. Give this one a go. Give you about 20 seconds, and then I will jump in. Okay. That's quite annoying. Hope it's okay. I'll just give that a second to let me know if it's getting any better. Yep. Mira says yes. Anybody else? Okay. No worries. We'll get right back into it then. So with this question, we have x squared plus 10x minus 8, and so we want to put that in the form. Well, we want to complete the square. The question here specifically says, by completing the square, find the coordinates of the turning point. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to complete the square. So we have x squared plus 10x minus 8. What we're going to do there is we're going to half the coefficient of this x term and place it inside a bracket with x. So we have x plus 5, and we're going to square that. Then, as per usual, this thing here, we're going to square it and take it away. So 5 squared is 25, so we're going to take away 25, and we still have this minus 8 on the outside. And so that leaves us with minus 33 on the outside. Squared minus 33 on the outside, minus 25, take away 8. Now, what we want to do next is, because it's saying by completing the square, find the coordinates of the turning point, we're going to minus what's inside here. So we have minus 5, and then the y coordinate is just minus 33. So then it's minus 33. So remember, what we're doing is we square whatever the inside term is, and we take it away. So 5 squared, we're taking that away, and then we're also keeping whatever term was already on the outside. So if it was positive 8, we would add 8 to the minus square of whatever's inside. And on to the next question. So this one gets a little bit more difficult. So we have 2x squared minus 12x plus 23. So give it a go, writing it in the form a, x plus b squared plus c, and then I will jump in and give you a hand. Okay, so I'm going to answer this question then. I'll show you how to do it. So this one's a little bit more difficult, and it takes a bit more. Oh, why my stream lag? Yeah, I'm not too sure. Ollie said there was a bit of an issue. Give me a couple of seconds, and I will try and sort that out. Okay, I'm back. Hopefully this will be a little bit better. Just had to move a few things out of the way. But if not, I'm sorry, I'm not too sure what I can do. Yeah, so let's do this question. So it's a little bit more difficult. So we've got 2x squared minus 12x plus 23. And so what we're going to do is we're going to the first step you want to take is you want to take 2 out as a factor of this first part here. So we're going to have 2 on the outside, and we're going to take 2 out as a factor. So we've got 2x squared minus 6x, and then add 23 on the outside. This, we don't do anything with that right now. So we've taken out this 2, and then we want to complete the square as usual on the inside. Yeah, I think the lag's just varying between people, guys. So we'll just see how it goes. If it gets too bad, then we'll just have to come back to this later. Yeah, so we've got x squared minus 6x on the inside, and we're going to complete the square of that as per usual, basically. So what we're going to do is we're going to half this term again. So this is the second time that we're kind of taking something out of it. And so we've got x squared. Oh, no, that's wrong. We have x minus 3, and then that is squared, and we're going to take away 9 because that's the minus 3 squared. Or it's minus 3 squared, and we're taking that away. So we have this 2 on the outside, we got plus 23. And so now what we can do is we can times everything inside here through by 2. So 2 lots of x minus 3 squared, which just gives us 2x minus 3 all squared, and then 2 times by minus 9. 2 times by minus 9, that line is way too thick. 2 times minus 9 gets minus 18, and then we're adding that to 23. and that's equal to 2 lots of x minus 3 squared, add 5. So that one's a little bit more complicated. However, it's still doable. And then just for kind of good measure, if you were going to find the turning point of that, then the turning point would simply be 3, 5, because it's still negative of whatever is on the inside in here. And then 5 is our y coordinate, and so 3 is our x coordinate. Okay, I'll give you 20 or so seconds to give this one a go, and then I will move on and describe how you should get on with it. Now I completely get it. Hashim, I would hope so, because you're about to be taking further maths. I'd hope you get it, but I'm glad to see the enthusiasm. Okay, so let's go into this question then. Lol, I don't. Not to worry, it is, like we said, it is an 8 to 9 level topic. It is a little bit difficult at first, but you can rewatch this video and you can go through the practice questions and kind of give it a go again at a later point, and you will get it at some point. But yeah, it is a little bit difficult. So let's go through this one. So we've got 3x squared minus 30x plus 63. So 3x squared minus 30x plus 63. So what we're going to do here is we're taking this 3 out as a factor of this first little bit, so we can complete the square like we usually do, right? So we've got 3x squared minus 10x on the inside plus 63, because when I expand this out, I have 3 times x squared to get 3x squared. I have 3 times minus 10x to get minus 30x, and then add 63. And so what's going to happen then is I'm going to complete the square of this little bit on the inside here. So I'm going to half this coefficient again. So let me make this a bit smaller. I'm going to half this minus 10, and I'm going to place it inside this bracket. So I'm going to end up with x minus 5 squared. And then on the outside here is still this 3. And then so when I square minus 5, I get 25. So I want to take away 25 from this. And I'm adding 63 still, because that's on the inside. We've not done anything to that. And so I'm going to times everything here through by 3. So I'm going to get 3 lots of x minus 5 squared. Then 3 times minus 25. 3 times minus 25 is minus 75. And then I'm adding that to 63. So minus 75 plus 63. We get minus 12. So 3 lots of x minus 5 squared minus 12. So in this question, a is equal to 3, b is equal to minus 5, and c equals minus 12. A little bit longer, a little bit more difficult, but you can do it when you practice it, especially you A-level guys who are still watching. I'm sure you can definitely do it when you practice, of course. Yeah, so what this means is that for this graph then, the graph that you get when you plot 3x squared minus 30x plus 63, our turning point is going to be 5, minus 12, minus this thing on the inside, and then also we have our minus 12. And on to, so this is the kind of final one. These are the only real different variations of this kind of question or this topic. So what you can do now is you can go onto websites like Maths Genie and kind of give all the different ones a go, see how you're finding them, and just kind of use this video as a reference. Yeah, so give the last one a go. This is a little bit different of a method, and then we'll kind of go from there. Okay, and on to the last one. So x squared plus 10x minus 3 is equal to 0. So we can complete the square and we can solve it using that. So let's give it a go. So we're going to complete the square like we usually do. So we're going to half this number here. And so I get x plus 5. That's all squared. I have this 5 in here. I'm squaring that, so I'm taking away 25. And I'm minusing 3. And that's equal to 0. So I get x plus 5 all squared minus 28 is equal to 0. So now in order to solve this, what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to have just an x term on the left-hand side. I want to have x equal to something. So we're going to be kind of making something the subject of an equation, or making something the subject of a formula, kind of like we did in the last video. And we're going to be using surds like we did in the first video. So if you haven't already, go check those out. So what we do here is we have x plus 5 squared minus 28. We want to add 28 to both sides. So we have x plus 5 all squared is equal to 28. Now what we want to do, so we just have an x term rather than an x plus 5 squared term, we're going to square root both sides. Because if you square root the left-hand side, we get x plus 5. And if we square root the right-hand side, you'll see what we get. So we have on the left-hand side, we have x plus 5, and we square the right-hand side. And so this gives us, that's the same as root 28, or plus or minus root 28. You have to remember the plus or minus, because if you think about it, say I have a squared is equal to 4. If I square root both sides, you may think, a is just equal to 2. But actually, it's also equal to minus 2, because minus 2 multiplied by minus 2 is 4. So when we're square rooting 28, we have to make sure that we do plus or minus root 28. And then, of course, as you can see from our video on surds, then we can simplify this down to get 2 root 7 just quickly, as it is 4 multiplied by 7, which splits up into root 4 multiplied by root 7, which is the same as 2 root 7. And then all we do now to find out what x is, we're just going to take away 5 from both sides. So then we get x is equal to minus 5 plus or minus 2 root 7. Apologies, plus or minus 2 root 7. And so you can always just chuck it back into your calculator to check. And then yes, as I can see, the answer is minus 5 plus or minus 2 root 7. It'd been quite embarrassing if it wasn't, to be fair. Yes, so that is completing the square. Can be a little bit difficult, but that's why it is rated grade 8 to 9. It's meant to be a little bit more difficult than the other content, but so long as you practice, you take a look through this video, you give it a go when practicing the questions, then there's no reason why you can't get it. So I'm going to stick around for a couple, or maybe a minute or two more, see if there are any questions. Otherwise, I am all good. So we shall see. Thank you, Hashim. I can tell you, though, that is not a question, but thanks. Okay, if there are no questions in a couple of seconds, then I'm going to conclude it there. Yeah, make sure you go and check out our website that we have up here. We have, if I can ever move up to it, that is. Oh, yep, there we go. Check out revisit.co.uk. No questions. Okay, well, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for watching the stream, and goodbye. Yeah, 1 like equals 1 grade. If only that worked for you, Ollie, my friend. See you later. Goodbye.